Good morning, this is Hiro. Okay, what I'm doing today is, well, I have this batch of smaller, more affordable pre-bonsai material that needs pruning. So I figured you guys like to hang out and watch me work, so I brought out these today. These more or less represent the smallest, most affordable material that I have. But you'll notice that even these have gone through number of years and number of pruning per year. So most of these were pruned already once, maybe sometime twice this year. Right now we're at the last day of July. So tomorrow we start August. Let's get started with the Japanese maple. Like I said, this has been pruned already, once or twice already in the year. And the thing is, even these small ones have gone through a lot of training or pre-training so that it can become a decent bonsai in the future. Now, this is the size that I use for beginning classes. I personally would rather have people take the class with the bigger material, but it's always the economics. And especially if you got kids or something like that, or you somewhat limited in budget, then this is the size we want to use. Well, I used to teach the class through our local junior college, and of course budget was always on our mind. So this is the size that I used to use. And it's okay. A good way to get started with minimal investment. So this is the close cousin of the Japanese maple. It's a trident maple, and I think it's a lot more vigorous. Well, when it first comes out of dormancy, they both seem like they're both ready to go after their long nap. But the trident seems to keep right on going. And it seems like the more time I prune it, faster it wants to grow back. But it also have the tendency to shrink down in the foliage sides. So if you are trying to make up your mind between Japanese maple and trident, if you're a beginner, take the trident. You see the finish a lot sooner. Now, trident make really great groves or the forest, and but well, in my younger day, my friend John, he used to hang out here all the time, and he kept egging me on. He says, "Hey, let's make them bigger, let's make them bigger." Well, we ended up with a big grove of trident maples. I think he had 50 some odd plants. Oh my gosh. Unless you have a lot of free time, don't do that, because it is difficult enough to prune one individually. When you have 50 in one large container, it took forever. Luckily, found a buyer, so I got rid of it. But you know, when you're young, you tend to do, this is the ivy. You know, ivies are really easy to grow. So if you find somebody that has some, or you have it in your yard, all you have to do is do something like this, right? And then just stick it in water, and in a very short time you'll start to root and you have a new plant. That's not the hard part. The hard part is it's a vine, so it'll grow all over the place, but trying to get it so that it has a bonsai shape, that takes effort. So you could see that this has a stick in there. So you take this and then you wrap it around the stick to give you that movement. Now, it takes fairly long time before the trunk becomes woody enough to remove the stick. So a lot of my older ones, they were some of my oldest bonsai material. It just takes a long time. Even this one here, this might be one of the oldest, and it barely has much of a trunk at all. But that's the way it is with the ivy. This is the boxwood. And to get these going, what you want to do is to remove one that seems to be going upright, and then you'll get growth that's underneath, and then that's what you want to save. Or you could use your wire, but you know me and my wiring. So anyway, this is what I do. See this cluster right here? If you cut this, you know, it's starting to go sideways. So what you do is you cut this other side to become a side branch. And that's how I usually do it. But on this one here, actually there's another underneath right here. So by cutting that off, that gives me even better in terms of location and starting to dip down. So that's what I do, is to go through and look for branches that tend to be going down and then follow through on that. Okay. See how I think in the long run that was the best choice. So go this way or this way? Let's go that way. Now it needs to grow back. Okay, what we have here is a box leaf euonymus. And it's a nice bonsai, but difficult to work with. One thing, if you try wiring this thing, it snaps. So you have to kind of go with the flow method that I tend to use. And it does take longer than other things to really shape up. Actually, I'm not sure how many people actually make bonsai out of this. But remember, I told you I was a landscaper and I had a bunch of them left over, so I had no choice but to try to figure it out. And in the beginning, okay, this is our olive. It's a little scrawny looking, but that's what happens when you're starting to run out of materials. That's basically it. I used to make hundreds of, well actually I used to have one that's even smaller than this. They're closer to being a true starter. And I would produce 700 to 1,000 new ones every year. And that was okay when I was really young, and I thought I wanted to be the biggest, meanest bonsai nursery around. And then, well, our grandson was born, a little bit over 8 years ago, and priority changed. So that's why I'm trying to downsize and get out of this business. But, so I'm doing well on the middle to large, but those of you that want the starters or pre-starters, you have these in haste, and so I got another trident, and basically same old, just kind of clean up and tighten it up a little bit here. But so you could see that even these small ones that's fairly economical for you, it requires a lot of effort. So I'm going to wrap this chapter. This has been my most affordable material, but you can see that each one required effort on my part. So this is at least my second pruning. Some have been pruned 3 times already. So anyway, I'll say goodbye for now. I'll see you again real soon in another chapter. So please tell your friends and subscribe.